Now, last year, a young woman living in Poland went viral online after claiming to be the missing toddler Madeleine McCann.
A woman who claimed to be Madeleine McCann has been charged with stalking the McCann family. Julia Wandel, also known as Julia Wandelt, was arrested at Bristol Airport on Wednesday.
In the meantime, a woman who's claimed to be Madeleine McCann has been charged with 4 counts of stalking.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
So Wandel was arrested at Bristol Airport and she remains in custody. She's in custody right now. Additionally, Wandel allegedly sent Instagram messages to the McCann's other children as well. And you've got to imagine that has to be pretty distressing. Meanwhile, another woman, 60-year-old Karen Sprague, was granted conditional bail. Now, it's interesting that of these 2 alleged stalkers, Wandel is regarded as the more serious, perhaps because she has come from a foreign country and made more serious claims, whereas Sprague is a British citizen who hasn't made similar claims, or has she? Surely she supports Julia, and that's what her stalking has been all about, taking on Julia's cause. The weird thing about the whole situation is, of course, the notion and the narrative that the McCanns themselves have been repeating and reiterating ad nauseum, which is that Madeleine is alive, she's safe and alive, and it's just a matter of time when she realizes who she is and just walks back into their lives. Ta-da! And isn't that what happened here? And let's say it does happen. Will the real Madeleine be believed? Let's say she comes forward. Will the real Madeleine be believed? I mean, in this case, DNA, has it really brought the closure that has been promised? If anything, all the legal circusry around Julia Wandel and Christian Bruckner have amounted to just to further confuse and contaminate an already convoluted and complicated case. In this analysis, I want to talk about the upcoming trials of these 2 women, but then also take it further and try to realign ourselves with the original narrative. Does that make sense? Before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. By the way, look out for me in Praia da Luz, Portugal. That'll be a couple of days from now on the anniversary. So if you're finding this analysis worthwhile, please do subscribe to catch that content. You can also hit the thanks button, and let's get started. So a Cardiff woman, Karen Sprague, 60, has firmly denied the allegations of stalking the family of missing Madeleine, a case that continues to captivate public attention nearly 2 decades after the child's disappearance. And I think it's because, why is it captivating the public's attention? I think it's because it is still captivating the public, that the public are responding, sometimes in strange ways. I think this is an example of a strange story captivating the public in strange ways. But come to think of it, who deliberately tried to captivate the public to begin with? Who went out of their way to engage with the media? And if you think about it, they were captivating the public with a fairly strange narrative to begin with. How strange and reliable was that narrative to begin with? I mean, originally, remember all the sightings that sprung up that all ended up being wild goose chases as a result of this story as well. So isn't it to be expected that the distortions in this narrative are leading to distortions in society? Isn't Julia a symptom of that? Isn't Karen Sprague a symptom of that? And so who is ultimately responsible for that? And whoever thinks about that, who put the story into the media landscape the way that it is? The media? Just the media? Do you guys remember when a South African, Dani Krichel, was recruited by the McCanns to use his tricorder, that's always what I call it, almost like Spock's tricorder, to search for Madeleine? And, this crackpot DNA locating device at the time was regarded as legit. And now it's like crackpots of the world unite. Anyway, Sprague from Kero Cardiff, appeared at Leicester Magistrates Court on Monday to face charges. She pleaded not guilty to stalking the family, which is said to have caused serious alarm or distress between, it's quite recent, May 2024 and February of this year. Alongside Sprague, Julia Wandel, 23, a Polish national from Lubin, also pleaded not guilty to similar stalking charges. You can see these charges are involving two women, 160, 123, but at the same time. So isn't there a sense that they are being influenced by one another as well? Wandel, who previously claimed to be Madeleine McCann herself, is accused of a series of disturbing actions, including making calls, leaving voicemails, sending letters and WhatsApp messages to the McCanns, as well as actually turning up at their family home on 2 occasions last year. Wandel was arrested at Bristol Airport and she, as I said, remains in custody, while Sprague was granted conditional bail. Both are scheduled to appear at Leicester Crown Court for trial on October 2nd. That's really the bottom line. That's the big news of this, is that there's going to be a trial regarding something related to the Madeleine McCann case. I mean, in a sense, that's big news. Well, a case is going to trial regarding Madeleine McCann, kind of indirectly. Now, stalking, particularly involving high-profile victims, is recognized as a serious offense that can cause significant psychological harm. According to UK law, stalking includes repeated contact that causes fear, alarm, or distress to the victim or their family. Now, clearly the McCanns are the victims here. No matter what the true situation in this case is, they are the victims. They lost their child. But is it as pure and simple as that? Like, are they the only victims? And that brings us to what I really want to talk about here, just a sense of, especially this article from the National Wales, just being a little tone deaf, maybe a lot tone deaf. Because they go on to say the stalking charges against Sprague and Wandel highlight on the ongoing challenges faced by the McCann family, who have endured years of public scrutiny and distress. Are they the only ones? Because who pulled the trigger on inviting the media to scrutinize the case? Family members called family members to get the abductor narrative out there. This is right in the beginning, May 3rd, May 4th. And this is well before the Portuguese police could even scribble a number and a file on the first docket dealing with this case. Long before they'd even taken paperwork out of a drawer and written the first word. The abductor story had circled the globe a few dozen times. Let's face it, the abductor story got a huge head start, and an alternative theory simply never had a chance to catch up. Now, according to this article, this case also underscores the complex intersection between mental health issues and criminal behavior in stalking incidents. Experts note that individuals who engage in such conduct often require psychological assessment and support alongside legal intervention to address underlying causes and prevent further harm. You do get a sense that Julia perhaps needs some kind of psychological support, right? Now, the upcoming trial will determine the veracity of the allegations. One wonders whether any of the family members will appear. Can you imagine if the McCanns appear as defense witnesses? It'll be a rare instance where we see the McCanns in a courtroom. And the trial will also determine the extent of the impact of these individuals on the McCann family. Now, as the legal process unfolds, it serves as a reminder of the enduring pain caused by Madeleine's disappearance and the ongoing efforts to protect her family from further trauma. Now, I couldn't help getting a funny feeling when I read this. What about the pain the McCann case inflicted on other innocent people, like Robert Murat, who eventually became an arguido in the case? What did he do wrong? He showed up from his home just down the road from apartment 5A to offer his services to translate, only to find he was being regarded as a suspect. It's a case of no good deed goes unpunished, isn't it? And also, what about the pain of the resort, which, thanks to endless bad publicity, basically folded in 2015? Look at these headlines. Exclusive, Mark Warner pulls out of Praia da Luz, the real story. Locals in town where Madeleine McCann vanished say no one talks about it anymore. And this one, Portugal beach town, which gained unwanted fame from McCann case, also seeks closure. This is not a family. This is a town. In 2020, locals in Praia da Luz were encouraged by the opening salvos in the Bruckner saga, wrongly imagining the case was drawing to a close then and would be resolved soon. Look where we are 5 years later. At the time, in 2020, Reuters reported the disappearance of the little British girl Madeleine McCann has hung over the quiet beach town of Praia da Luz in Portugal's southern Algarve like a dark cloud for 13 years. That's very appropriately described. Now some closure might finally be near, not only for her family, but also for the town itself. Well, that would turn out not to be the case. Meaning the pursuit of Bruckner, was the most significant development towards resolving the mystery of what happened to her after years of twists and turns. Really? The most significant development? Really, was it?
Is it? Are you?
Going back to the Reuters article, a long international investigation has grabbed attention worldwide, but left many in Praia da Luz feeling like they had become pariahs. Yes, and whoever talks about that damage and who inflicted it. It was very complicated back then for everyone involved. Everyone spoke badly about Praia da Luz, especially among parents with children, said 40-year-old Irina Itrabar, who owns a tiny beach store in the town of 3,500 inhabitants. But the town has also suffered a stigma. Business owners said some foreign tourists had been too scared to spend their holidays at Praia da Luz after she disappeared. Now, although what happened to Madeleine is a tragedy no matter how you slice it, let's face it, Madeleine was one 3-year-old little girl. Compare that to dozens, if not hundreds of residents of an entire town whose lives are never the same again, including lots of more little girls in Portugal whose parents' livelihoods are damaged or ruined altogether. Do you think I'm exaggerating? Look at this particular person, a local, saying, I was here when the girl disappeared. It was very weird at the time. This changed everything. All the televisions were here. A very complicated environment was created. Some feared that 13 years later, the new development could cast the town in a bad light again. That's exactly what the McCann case did. Cast the town in bad light. That's what this media coverage was. Bad light. The story surrounding Madeleine, even today, is badly lit. It's distorted. It doesn't shine a light properly on the actual events. Do you see that? Back then, this is according to a 60-year-old German tourist, Petra Michel. She says, back then, it killed all the business, just like the coronavirus. Just think about that, the Madeleine McCann case being compared to the coronavirus. Just devastating lots of people, lots of livelihoods, lots of hopes and dreams dashed. And people are just trying to get back on their feet again. It's like people just want to get back on their feet again after the devastating effects of this case. And this whole thing is starting again. So when the National Wales reported on the McCann case on April 22, that's less than a week ago, they touched on a very important subject. Quote, this case continues to draw attention not only because of the unresolved mystery surrounding Madeleine McCann, but also due to the broader societal issues it raises about victim protection, stalking laws, and the psychological toll on families caught in the public eye. Yet it's amazing how colorblind this reporting is to anyone besides the McCanns. It's amazing how British family are the only victims in the British media, are they? I mean, given the number of lives in Portugal that were irrevocably altered, and not for the better, jobs lost, including that of the lead detective, his life was never the same again either. So, I mean, that's really what I want to deal with here. You talk about bias and screwed up priorities. Do you agree? And what do we need here? Can we have more acknowledgement of that and more balanced reporting in that regard, or is that too much to hope for? Anyway, I'm not going to take it further than that. I'll be seeing you guys, boots on the ground in Praia da Luz in a couple of days, so look out for that. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time.